Well, that was by far the most active and wild trade deadline in a very long time. Basically, all of the big names going before the actual deadline day. If you aren't completely up to date, here's just a brief summary of some names on some new teams. Bo Horvat went from Vancouver to the Islanders. Vladimir Tarasenko went from St. Louis to the Rangers. Ryan O'Reilly is a Leaf, along with Noel Acciari, Jake McCabe, Sam Lafferty, and Luke Schenn. Dmitry Orlov, Garnet Hathaway, and Tyler Bertuzzi all went to Boston. The Big Shark Timo Meier went to the New Jersey Devils. The Oilers acquired Ekholm. Chychrun finally got dealt to the Ottawa Senators. Gavrikov somehow landed in LA. And Tampa Bay gave up a first, a second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth for Tanner Jeannot. And Patrick Kane inevitably forced his way onto the Rangers roster. So in summary, a lot of player movement. Now, with all of that out of the way, it's time for playoffs. Welcome to today's video where I go through who I think are contenders, pretenders, favorites, and dark horses. Now, as I'm recording this, the East wildcard is still an absolute battle. So in this video, I'm going to include the Islanders, the Pens, the Sens, the Panthers, the Caps, and the Sabres, as these are the teams that are all fighting for a wildcard spot still. There is still a little battle in the West as well, so for the wildcard teams, I'm including Winnipeg, Calgary, and Nashville. Now, before we get started, I just wanted to address two things. First off, thank you so much for the love and support on the video I made on the Leafs bottom six at the beginning of the season. I really appreciate it, and it's motivated me to make another YouTube video. So congrats, you guys have done this. Secondly, 94.5% of you are not subscribed. That is insulting. If you're watching this video and you're not subscribed, please do me a favor and subscribe. It really helps me out. I appreciate it. And let's get into the video. Okay, so the Minnesota Wild. They're a tough one this season. They're always kind of walking the line between pretender and contender. And this year, I'm going to have them as pretenders. They're not a bad team, but they're not a good team either. Don't have them as a contender. Pretender for me. Next up here, the Colorado Avalanche. They're definitely not as good as they were last year, and they are a bit more banged up too with the injury to Landeskog and now Arturi Lehkonen as well. But let's not kid ourselves. They're the Avalanche and they're still contenders. Pretty simple there. Dallas Stars, the veteran presence is there. The defense is there. The tenacity and aggression, they're all there. The goaltending is there as well. Only thing I'd be concerned about is the lack of offense, even with the addition of Max Domi. But I'm going to lean towards contenders here, and I'm also going to put them in dark horses. So if they're dark horses, they're also contenders as well. The Vegas Golden Knights, their defense is good. Their goaltending has come back down to earth, but has more experience now with Quick. And as I'm recording this, he's actually on fire, but that's not going to last. I don't expect that to last. I don't think Jonathan Quick is just going to steal the Vegas Golden Knights a playoff series, but he could. Who knows? But I don't expect that from him. I do not like their forward core that much, especially with all the injuries. I'm leaning pretenders, which is kind of wild because they are currently first in the Pacific. I just don't trust them. I just don't trust their goaltending either. They're going pretenders. I'm sorry. The Kings, I feel like, I like this team. I like the addition of Gavrikov. I think he will help them in the playoffs. The only question mark for me is goaltending, but Korpisalo has stolen a series in the playoffs before. Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm on the fence here, but I'm going to say contender. I wouldn't be surprised if they disappoint me. I don't know if the Kings are ready just yet, but you know what? I'm going to put them in contender. The Seattle Kraken, I think this team has a good mix throughout their roster, but I seriously cannot trust their goaltending enough to say they'll win a round. So I'm going to say pretender. That goaltending is, it's shocking. Unless Grubauer turns into his Vezina caliber self that we've seen one season with the Avalanche defense, then I'm not too confident in the Seattle Kraken. Now, the Edmonton Oilers. What a team. I like the addition of Ekholm. I think that's going to help the defense. I really don't know how I feel about their goaltending in the playoffs. They're not really reliable, but again, who knows? They are contenders, and they're going to be my favorites from this division. They are my favorites because they have the most talented player to ever play the game of hockey, Nick Buchanan. All right, so Winnipeg, they're in a very similar spot to the Dallas Stars, but it's their defense as a team that needs to step up and not their offense. I love the addition of Niederreiter, and Morrissey has been Norris caliber out of absolute nowhere this season. So I'm going to say contender, and you know what, with Hellebuck back there, I'm going to say dark horses. I actually do like the makeup of the team. I just need to see more defensive improvement, and less reliance on Connor Hellebuck, and I think they should be fine. The Nashville Predators, they're here just because they're still on the fringe for a wildcard spot, but their team is really not that good. Anything can happen, especially with Saros. But boy, that team has regressed since last season. I do not see them as a threat whatsoever. They are pretenders for me. All right, so the Calgary Flames, the additions were nowhere near as good as they were hoping. Huberdeau just hasn't found his stride. Their goaltending has been subpar. Markstrom just out of nowhere turned into a pumpkin, and that's kind of sewered them as well. But you know what? No, I'm not going to do it. I'm putting them pretender. I was going to be like, you know what? Anything could happen in the playoffs, and I'll put them in contenders, but they don't have goaltending, and their offense just really isn't there. I don't trust them. So that's it for the West. I'm gonna take a look here, see if I'd change anything. Am I too hard on the Wild? Oh, maybe I'm too hard on the Wild. You know what? I'm gonna put them in dark horses. Maybe I'll change my mind by the end of the video, but for now, they're gonna be in dark horses. Starting the East off here, we've got the Carolina Hurricanes, and what a story this team is. The offense has taken a massive hit with the loss of Svechnikov having season-ending knee surgery. As I'm recording this, that was just announced. They are still decent. They are still a decent team. The defense is good. The offense is mediocre without Svechnikov, but it's decent. My only problem here is the last time Freddie Anderson won a playoff series, it was almost a decade ago. I don't think the defense alone is going to be good enough this time, and this really hurts me. For me, they are an unfortunate pretender. The New Jersey Devils, from out of nowhere, have decided to be a top 5 team in the league. I like their group up front. They have a really, really strong top 6 now with Timo Meier in there. I'm not too confident in their defensive play and their goaltending. I think they are a great team, but I'm not sure if they're there yet. This one's really tough. I'm on the fence. I'm gonna go pretender. I can't see it. I don't believe in them that much. Oh, speaking of don't believe in them that much, the New York Rangers. They're an absolute super team. Offensively, with the additions of Kane and Tarasenko, they are just an absolute super team up front. I don't know what else I can say. Their offense is just not fair. However, with me and the Rangers, it all comes back to goaltending. Last playoffs, Igor Shesterkin had a .929 in 20 games played. The Rangers really relied on their goaltending in the playoffs, and he's come way back down to earth. He's been league average this season. It all comes back to him. I also don't have much faith in the team defense over there. So again, I'm gonna lead pretenders. I don't really trust it. It's kind of wild. I'm looking right now. I have all 3 Metro teams in pretenders. Yeah. We'll see how that fares at the end of the video. But for now, pretenders. I don't trust them. Kicking off the Atlantic here, it's the Boston Bruins. What else do I have to say? Like, they're an absolute powerhouse of a team. Offense, defense, goaltending, everywhere. They are contenders, and they are my favorites. And I think anything less than a Stanley Cup final or a Stanley Cup in general is an absolute disappointment. If this team doesn't make it to the Stanley Cup final, that's just tragic. That cannot happen. Inexcusable. Speaking of tragic and inexcusable, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Seems as though the Leafs are doing a complete 180 this season, and it looks as though their plan is to defend for their lives. I like their offense, but it's definitely not their strong suit this season. It could be better, but they do still have those punishing forwards in Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, etc. However, I do believe they are a really strong defensive team, and I don't think they get the credit for it because of, the monumental collapses that they always have. People think that's just a normal thing with them, but they actually haven't done that much this season, which shows you they're improving. Their goaltending has been hit or miss, but if they can bear down and defend, they should be fine. I'm going to put them in contenders, and I'm going to throw them in dark horses. I think if the Toronto Maple Leafs break out of the first round, everyone look out because they're getting to the Stanley Cup final. But again, that's a massive if. Okay, so the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yeah, this is the part where I decide how much people I really want to piss off with this one. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to put them in pretenders, but I will say I think they've had way better teams in the past, but it's still the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they do know how to work the refs in the playoffs. I'm going to put them in contenders. The Pittsburgh Penguins. Okay, I'm never going to count out Sidney Crosby, so if they get in to the playoffs, anything can happen. But in saying that, I don't think their team is good enough. It's just kind of middle of the pack. Like, their goaltending has really sunk them in the playoffs, so again, I don't really have much faith in Tristan Jarry. I'm going to say Pretenders, but I won't be surprised if they end up proving me wrong. It is Sidney Crosby after all. The Pierre Engvall New York Islanders. That was a random addition. They're playing him at center now, eh? Alright, have fun with that one. This is a team that screams to me, get into the playoffs and figure the rest out later, because they play playoff hockey. Throughout the entire regular season, their style of hockey is playoff hockey. Everyone knows that. Their goaltending is great, they can defend, and the scoring is slowly starting to pick up with the addition of Bo Horvat, of course. But again, in saying that, they do have a ton of injuries. Matt Barzal is out, not sure he's going to be back before the playoffs. I'm not 100% confident here. I'm going to say Pretenders, but again, it could go either way. So this could blow up in my face very, very easily. The fall from grace Florida Panthers. These guys won a President's Trophy last year. What a fall from grace. I really do not like this Panthers team. Their offense is okay. Their defense is questionable at best. Their goaltending is barely league average. It's just a no. Like, it's just a no. Like, they're a team. I'm getting we are a team vibes. They're Pretenders. The Buffalo Sabres, surprisingly offensive threat this season. Top 5 in goals for, if you don't know. Very heavily offensive team. Bit of a young team. Not really built for the playoffs, and the goaltending is just not there. Unless Craig Anderson decides to turn into a Vezina caliber goalie in the playoffs, I don't see it. I'll put them in Pretenders. The Washington Capitals, the offense is okay. The defense is basically non-existent, with Sandin being in their top pair. Their number one defenseman, I should add, because John Carlson's injured. They also have a ton of injuries. Yeah, Kemper's not really the best. Like, he's okay, but I don't really have much faith in him. I don't have much faith in this team in general. They're going straight into Pretenders. Finishing it off here strong with the Ottawa Senators. I say strong, but like it's really not. They have decent offense. I think their defense is better now with the addition of Jacob Chikrin. Their goaltending really doesn't exist though, and I don't trust a team that doesn't have that good goaltending. So I'm gonna put them in Pretenders. So I'm looking at this tier list. And I don't have many contenders. I think I've done something wrong here. Obviously, these dark horses are contenders because you can't be a contender without being a dark horse. So in actuality, there's 7 contenders and not just 3. Am I being too harsh on one of these pretender teams? Do I think the Carolina Hurricanes can do it without Svechnikov? That's what this really comes back to. And do I trust I don't trust their goaltending, though. I really don't. I'm having an internal struggle here. Let's go through this. Okay, Vegas, they're fine. Like, they're fine. I think they could be a contender. I'm going to put them at the very low end of contender. I don't like their forward core, but I'll put them in contender. The Seattle Kraken, just no. The Nashville Predators, no. The Calgary Flames, no. The Carolina Hurricanes, I can't do it. I'm so sorry, Canes fans. I can't do it. I can't do it. The New Jersey Devils, they're young, they're talented. The team defense is really struggling. Maybe they can outscore their problems. Oh, but their goaltending isn't really reliable either. Okay, I gotta think of it this way. These 3 are gonna play each other in a playoff series, I think. One of them is gonna end up playing the other. So one of them has to be out of this tier. We can't have all of them being pretenders. I need a Metro team being a contender. I just realized I don't have a single Metro team as a contender. It's Devils or Rangers for me. And the Rangers have Shesterkin, and he could turn into a beast at any time. Screw it. We're going with the Rangers. The Rangers are contenders. Congrats. The rest I'm very confident with. And if you haven't noticed, the off to the draft tier is just the other teams who are not making the playoffs. They're just ready to draft, and they really don't care about anything anymore. So, that's it. I'm gonna leave it there. It's been a fun one. Had a lot of internal struggle with this one for sure. Definitely doubting myself looking at this, but I'm gonna stick to it. Let me know in the comments what you agree with and what you disagree with. Let's start a debate. I want to have that discourse. That's what the comments section is there for. If you enjoyed the video and you want to see more videos from me, be sure to leave a like and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Like I said, 94.5% of you are not subscribed. That's insane. Come on, let's get those numbers up. Subscribe to the channel. There is more coming. I promise you, I am not the most consistent, but there will be more coming. I can always promise there is more coming. The more I make YouTube videos, the more I'm going to end up liking making YouTube videos and end up making more. So it's really just if I have time and if I have a subject. And I had a subject for the video today, and so this is the video that you get. If you watch this video and you felt it was a tad too long for your liking, you can head over to my TikTok, @LeafsFanMD. Over there, I post more condensed and shorter form content. I'll see you in the next one. Make sure to subscribe. Goodbye.